to get to the NFC East, or should I call it the NFC Least? Because the division,
let's go, baby! Eagles, baby, fly! Eagles, fly!
Number one.
Oh, Jesus.
Jason Garrett has become an absolute piñata on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and the whole 9 yards. You name it. This guy's a piñata and is going to lose his job at the end of the season. I think that's inevitable now.
Oh, yeah.
The Eagles can't catch a football to save their life. It literally seems like every time, and then everyone's like, Nelson Aguilar dropped the ball, release Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Oh, Dallas Goedert fumbled the ball and turned it over. Oh, Carson Wentz is a bust. Yep. Oh, Zach Ertz dropped the ball in the end zone. Well, we should have kept Nick Foles.
Oh, Max Kellerman, is that you?
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, Malcolm Jenkins can't defend anyone to save his life. Oh, well, I guess they should have kept Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Honestly,
that's Eagles Twitter.
Literally. And to their point, I will defend people to a point. Carson Wentz has not been outstanding.
Nope.
He has not had his best season. I will acknowledge that. I am a big Carson Wentz fan, personally. And this guy, the Eagles, beat my team in a Super Bowl 2 years ago. I get it. I am a Carson Wentz fan. I love watching the guy play, and I think the guy has all the potential in the world. I think in a good situation, this guy is a franchise quarterback that can win a championship. I still believe that regardless of what's happened post-torn ACL. But he has not been his regular self, and he has struggled. But my belief in that is kind of like what I look at, like the struggles with Brady right now. I feel like he doesn't know who the hell to trust in front of him.
Yep.
He can't trust his offensive line, in my opinion. I mean, Lane Johnson and a couple of those other guys have been so praised, and I know Lane's been banged up all season. Mm-hmm. I don't think he trusts his offensive line. I don't think he trusts Jay Ajayi. I don't think he trusts the receivers he's throwing to. He doesn't even trust Alshon Jeffrey, who's the highest paid receiver.
Yeah, and now he's out for the season.
Yeah, and then, Dak Prescott in Dallas, this guy wants $40 million. He's lucky if I pay him $4 to go watch him play. Honestly, man. I'm watching this guy play, and everyone's like, well, he leads the league in passing yards. He's sixth in touchdowns. I don't care when you're 6 and 7. Yeah. I don't care, okay? And Jason Garrett is the worst coach in football. Yeah. The worst coach in football, and Pat Shurmur's still around, okay? So this is where we're going with that. And then on top of that, the Giants and the Redskins, no offense to the fans of those two teams, get lost, okay? But your thoughts on the NFC East this season?
Well, I'll start off with my team because, we don't really care too much about the other teams because, the other teams suck. But Carson Wentz has been, like you said, he hasn't been great this year. Honestly, he has been missing a lot of throws. He's been throwing balls behind players. He's overthrown guys where they have to jump up. He doesn't really throw the ball to guys in stride, and I've noticed that quite a bit this year more than I did last year. It's kind of been very aggravating to watch too, because it's like you were doing it last year and then the year before as well. So it's like, what's going on now? Is it the fact that you think, like, is he overthinking it, think he doesn't have much time and he's like releasing it too soon or too late? Like, I don't know what it is, but he needs to get that figured out. I don't know what's going on with that. But the offensive line, if you look at games where Nick Foles was quarterback as opposed to Carson Wentz, the offensive line would block Nick Foles. He would have like 6 years back there to throw the ball. And of course, wide receivers are going to get open because the defensive backs can't cover them for that long. And if you go to games where Carson Wentz is quarterback, it's like the pass rush gets right to the quarterback. And like he takes one step and it's like he has to get rid of the ball or he's taking a sack. I don't know what the offensive line has been doing. Jason Peters is old. And the issue we have there is we don't really have a left tackle to come in and play. Andre Dillard, the rookie we drafted this year, has been really good, but he's been good at guard, but he hasn't really been that great at left tackle, and that's something that we really need him to become is the new left tackle because Jason Peters is most likely going to retire after this year. Our left guard, Isaac Seumalo, hasn't really been that great. I feel like he's been getting eaten up quite a bit. Jason Kelsey is a smaller center. He's been okay this year. I'm not gonna really get too upset with him. This past Monday against the Giants, he did snap a ball over Carson Wentz's head and he had to go fall on it.
Release Carson Wentz then.
Yeah, it's really Carson Wentz wasn't 6'10". He should have caught that.
Not for answer phone. Get out.
it's happened a couple times this season with Jason Kelce. I'm assuming it happens to everyone, every center. They snap it a couple times. Brandon Brooks is rated the best right guard in football by Pro Football Focus. He missed a game due to an anxiety attack that he had, which kind of sucked for that game. I think that was against the Seahawks. That was kind of unfortunate because the Seahawks pass rush was kind of getting to Carson Wentz, and that was a game in which the Eagles could have won if they just scored some more points. Lane Johnson is one of the best right tackles in football. Unfortunately, he went down with a concussion the past week, and then this week he hurt his ankle against the Giants, which sucks. So we don't know his health going into this upcoming game against the Redskins, and that it doesn't bode well for the pass rush getting to Carson Wentz. So it's going to be really up to the wide receivers to become open real quick. And now that's the other issue we have. Alshon Jeffrey's out. We don't know if Aguilar is going to play. Deshaun Jackson's out for the season. So though right now we have Greg Ward and Robert Davis playing wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's a first-round draft pick. He's a second-round draft pick, playing a rookie second-round draft pick playing this year. Then we have Robert Davis, practice squad player, signed up just today to come play in a game against the Redskins. And then we have Greg Ward, who is another practice squad player who just came up 2 weeks ago. So it's like we have two practice squad guys and then a second round rookie first year wide receiver. So this is going to be a fun game. I'm actually really interested. Apparently Robert Davis ran a 4.43 at the combine. So he's a speedy wide receiver. It's something that we need. I'm kind of excited to see if he can bust the top off the defense. We're really going to need a great game out of Boston Scott again, who kind of broke out against the Giants. Miles Sanders can still do his thing. I think he's leading all rookies in all-purpose yards this year, or all scrimmage yards, something like that. He might win possibly, probably won't happen, but offensive rookie of the year. Not too sure about that. But it'll be interesting to see. The defense is still suspect. Ronald Darby is absolute garbage. I can't wait till this season is over because Ronald Darby needs to be off the Philadelphia Eagles. They need to cut him. I know they can't do it right now because they have nobody else to replace him, but I don't care. A Ray Charles on playing quarterback would do a better job than Ronald Darby. This guy can't see anything. He can't cover anything. He does not fast enough. He gets up after the quarterback overthrows a wide receiver and does this. It doesn't make sense because you did nothing. The quarterback just missed his throw. I hate it so much. Jalen Mills does it too.
He beats you? Yeah.
Jalen
runs down the field and it's just like, hey, it's like, what did you do?
Yeah, they're like,
you did nothing.
They're like, no. It's like, you did absolutely nothing on it. And they're like, well, no, I disrupted the route, so he couldn't. It's like, no, he threw it into the stands.
Sorry, Brandon Weeden was the other quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't say on Ronald Darby, he's garbage. We need to upgrade our linebacker position because Nigel Bradham, Nathan Gary, and Kamu Grugier-Hill are not the answer at linebacker. Our defensive ends, Brandon Graham's not getting to the quarterback anymore, and neither is Derek Barnett. I know he was injured last game, so he had to put in Josh Sweat. But they're not getting any pressure on the outside, which means everyone's focusing on Fletcher Cox on the inside, and that's not really allowing him to get any quarterback sacks. He is getting pressures, but it's like pressures don't mean anything to me. If he has to throw it a little bit quicker, it's like whatever. Tim Jernigan's not the same Tim Jernigan that he was 2 years ago. And I think we personally would have really benefited from a guy like Malik Jackson because he would have helped out Fletcher Cox on the inside, pushing that center of the offensive line back into the quarterback. The Eagles have been kind of a mess just all over offensively with injuries and defensively with injuries and just not being good enough. Jim Schwartz, I want him gone. Jim Schwartz, I want gone. Mike Groh cannot be the offensive coordinator next year because the offense has been brutal. Bring in somebody else. I don't care who it is. Doug Peterson, hire your daughter's boyfriend's best friend, for God's sake. I don't care who it is. Anyone at this point would be Jay Gruden. Jay Gruden's looking for a job. He could be your OC.
Yeah.
Your OC next year could be Jay Gruden, and your DC could be Ron Rivera if he doesn't get a head coaching job, which he probably will.
Jason Garrett.
Okay. I'm glad you brought Jason Garrett up. I am now with all that being said, the Eagles are still going to win the NFC East, and they're going to crush the Dallas Cowboys come Week 16. Anyways, on to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if you heard this, but Jason Garrett's playbook actually just got leaked on Twitter. Did you not see that?
Boy.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
He can't do anything right.
Yeah, it was crazy. So basically, every play was just this. Good job, guys. great job.
Emoji.
Just great job. Every play. That's what it is. It doesn't because he can only come up with 3 plays. It's called play action or it's called run Zeke. That's it. That's all they do.
Jason Garrett's playbook.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah,
okay.
Just that emoji everywhere. Yeah. So it's basically like, oh, Zeke, you run. Oh, there's 3 plays. There's a play action pass. There is the run Zeke. And then there is the screen pass to Zeke, because they don't like to roll Dak out. They don't like to send Dak on a run. And if Amari Cooper isn't open, it's like, oh shoot, who are we gonna throw to? 85-year-old Jason Witten? Well, let's see how far he can go. He runs 3 yards, catches the ball, has a heart attack, dies. They have the Dallas Cowboys are so bad because they have so much talent and they have an absolute idiot running the team, and I love it. I don't want him to get fired. I want him to be there until I die. And
there's more than that.
They have an idiot owner. But the thing about their owner is that he will go and add players regardless. Like, that's the one thing I will give Jerry Jones. He is out there. He will pay anybody anything. But he is an idiot as well because he's too much in there and he puts too much pressure on his team, and he's just always your owner shouldn't be in your locker room after every game. It's just you don't talk to your boss after every single shift at work. You go in, if you work at a grocery store, you clock in, you do your job, you leave. Your boss isn't like breathing down your neck after every shift. Like, how was that shift? Well, yeah, that was a bad shift. That was a good shift. It's just like that doesn't happen. So Jason Garrett, moral of the story here, Jason Garrett, please be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys forever. Jerry Jones, never fire him. He's perfect. I don't know what everyone else is saying. He's great. The Dallas Cowboys suck, and fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah, well, I mean, they got their quarterback. I mean, I know what I said at the start here was, oh, well, he's got all these stats, but I don't care. You're 6-7. Okay, that doesn't really change my opinion of they have their franchise quarterback. I believe Dak Prescott. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot about that. All those, like, if you look at Dak Prescott's stats, look at in the games of where he's losing, and in the fourth quarter, how many extra yards he gets. If you look at the Bears game, an example, he had 165 yards passing and 1 passing TD. By the end of the game, he had 300 yards, and that was in the fourth quarter. So in the fourth quarter, around the 9-minute mark, he had 165 yards and 1 or 2 pass TDs and an interception. If you go to the last 4 seconds of the game, Dak Prescott has now thrown for 300 yards and 3 pass touchdowns, and it's they still lose by a touchdown. And
it's garbage time. Right?
It's garbage time when he's getting all these stats, and people are just well, he's got all these. It's when the game doesn't matter, he's throwing these because they're all the defense of the other team are just dropping back and stopping big plays from happening. So he's doing exactly what Shannon Sharp calls him dinking Dak, and he's dinking and dunking the whole way down the field, accumulating yards, and then he's able to get in the end zone at the end. So I'll give him credit for that. They get in the end zone at the end, but it's in garbage time when it doesn't matter.
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, they have their quarterback. They have, in my opinion, the best running back in football. I mean, that's a debate we could have, but that's my opinion. They have a number 1 wide receiver. They have a top 10 defense. They for a long time had a kicker. Now they're kind of struggling at the kicking position. I mean, Brett Maher is out now, and now they got Kay Forbath, who was on the Patriots for about a week.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of an inconsistent. I mean, they got an offensive line. They have all these stuff. They have Randall Cobb. They have, God love him, Jason Witten. I'm not sure what he is anymore. He's kind of he can make a big play, then he can't make a big play. And, it's kind of hit and miss. But there's a lot of things on this roster that are championship caliber, in my opinion. And they're sitting here 6-7. And I know what people are going to say. Well, how can you blame Jason Garrett and chirp Jason Garrett when I've heard this? I've honestly heard this. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. I had a guy tell me one day, why are you chirping Jason Garrett but not Doug Peterson? Doug Peterson's won more playoff games the last 2 years than Jason Garrett's won in 10.
Yeah.
Okay? That's my argument right there. Yes, the Eagles are a mess too. Yes, the Eagles have struggled. And yes, the Eagles need to do some things this offseason to improve their roster if they want to win the Super Bowl in the next couple of years. I get that. But I'm not chirping Doug Peterson because Doug Peterson just won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. He won 3 playoff games en route to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. That's as many wins in 1 playoff run that Jason Garrett has since 2010.
Yeah.
Okay? That is the difference.
Yeah.
And Doug Peterson did that with his backup quarterback in Nick Foles. What's Nick Foles doing right now? He's the backup in Jacksonville. Minshew.
Yeah.
That is the difference, okay?
Thank you.
I said that Nick Foles got overpaid and Jacksonville will regret that contract.
Mm-hmm.
And to your defense, I know Nick Foles has a special place in your heart, sir. And I get that. And I know that you were saying, I think this is going to work. And we had that debate on the podcast. I was not on board, okay?
Yeah.
He had Alshon Jeffrey when Alshon Jeffrey was hot and ready to go. He had Zach Ertz. Nelson Aguilar was pretty good that season, in my opinion. He had Jay Ajayi come over from Miami. Their offensive line was stellar, and the defense was a little better than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Foles had all that. He had none of that in Jacksonville. Doug Peterson did that. That is why I'm not sitting here chirping Doug Peterson. And you know what? 7 years from now, if Doug Peterson has one playoff win from now till 7 years, we can have that conversation. I have no issue with that. Doug Peterson has won more playoff games in the last 2 seasons than Jason Garrett has won in 10 as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. That is the difference, people.
Yeah.
And Dak Prescott has been healthy the whole time. And Tony Romo was his quarterback, who Tony Romo is not an all-time great quarterback, but Tony Romo was a damn good quarterback until he got hurt at the end.
Yep.
And this is where we're at.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it.
Yeah. Like, listen, I'm not saying Doug Peterson is the greatest coach of all time. Like, even though, like, you know, I'm not saying that, and I agree with you there. Like, but like you said, like, he has more wins in the playoffs in 2 years of making the playoffs than, or sorry, would it be? Yeah, 2 years, as opposed to Jason Garrett. You know, like
year one was a write-off for Doug Peterson, in my opinion. Like, you had your rookie quarterback, and you were trying to figure out when you were going forward with the roster in hopes to compete for a Super Bowl, you were figuring out who's in, who's out. I give him year one. That's normally the process for a first-year head coach who has a rookie quarterback. That is normally the process. So that year's a write-off to me.
Yep.
He won 3 games the following season and a Super Bowl with his backup quarterback. Jason Garrett has 3 playoff wins with, we could sit here and name 20 Cowboys players who are very good players, and he has 3 playoff wins. That's the difference. And they lost the playoff game because, I'm on the 4-yard line? Zeke, take a seat. I'll let Dak go through the air and try and win. Like, are you dumb?
Yeah.
That's the difference to me. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No,
I just get fired up. It's like, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid.
He's a guy who should have never been a head coach, and the only reason he was a head coach was because he was a Dallas Cowboys backup quarterback, and then, you know, Jerry Jones loved him. He likes keeping guys in the family. He didn't like Wade Phillips because he was from the old regime, and Wade Phillips didn't take shit, you know. Jason Garrett was a yes man. That's why he's been the Cowboys head coach for so long, because, you know, the Cowboys ain't losing money, and Jerry Jones is all about money, but now he's getting to the point where he's like, I want to win before I die. So he's just like, he's got to find somebody else. Like, I don't know if they go with Urban Meyer or they go with, who's the Oklahoma Sooners head coach? Lincoln Riley, thank you.
Yep. Thank you. I've also heard, and this might piss Eagles fans off to high heavens, I have actually heard Josh McDaniels' name, which I know that would drive you guys nuts because he let Frank Reich go to Indy.
If he takes a head coaching job outside of New England, I will go there and I will write a strongly worded letter to Josh McDaniels about how much I dislike him, because oh my God, like that guy single-handedly ruined a coaching staff. Like, listen, we let John DeFilippo go, who was just our quarterbacks coach, because he became the offensive coordinator in Minnesota. I would have been fine with that because it wasn't our OC. But, like, the only reason Frank Reich is the head coach in Indy is because Josh McDaniels was like, yeah, I'll do it, and then nope. And, like, I know you said to me, like, Frank Reich would have got a head coaching jobs in other places. Frank Reich, I don't think would have, because he went to Indy with the understanding that Andrew Luck was going to be his quarterback, not Jacoby Brissett. And not too many teams out there, you can be the head coach with Andrew Luck as your quarterback.
But you don't think, and I mean, this is a totally different argument, but you don't think, like, if say the Jets called them and he had Sam Darnold healthy, or if the Browns called them and he had Baker Mayfield before this season, and we all have this narrative about Baker now, before this season he wouldn't have gone to Cleveland, or he wouldn't have gone to, I don't know, Arizona with Kyler Murray or the first overall pick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't think none of those would have came up? Or the Chargers, or, like, I'm just naming teams right now.
No, it would have been different. Like, say the Eagles had won back-to-back Super Bowls. Like, they won, like, Frank Reich sticks around, the offense is clicking, and then they win a Super Bowl in 2017 and 2018. and then he goes this year to be head coach somewhere else, then yeah, I would understand that because he's got 2 Super Bowls as an OC, and like people are probably like, this guy knows offense, sure. But if they didn't win the Super Bowl last year and like they ended up bouncing in the same, like, only beating the Bears because Cody Parkey missed a field goal, and then losing to the Saints. Like, I have a hard time believing they're like, yeah, that OC is the job for us. Like, we need him to take like our head coaching job. Like, you just don't see that very often because like I know the Patriots win a lot of Super Bowls, but it's just like, it's not like the Broncos OC was just like snatched up right away after they won the Super Bowl, or even Carolina's OC was snatched up right away. Like Kyle Shanahan from the Falcons was, but like it's like it's just like it doesn't really happen that often.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I personally think he was too good of an OC, and I think the league knew it, and they saw what he did with Carson Wentz, and they saw what he did when Carson Wentz went down with Nick Foles, and then he gets back, say he was still the OC the next year, and he gets back to the playoffs, and they win even a playoff game, regardless of how they won it. I mean, Cody Parkey missed the kick fair and square. Doug Peterson iced him, and then he missed the field goal. I mean, that happens. Too bad. Move on. And I just think somebody would have said, this guy's too good of an OC. He's winning with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles. It doesn't matter who you put in. This guy's just winning, and the offense is rolling.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I just have a hard time believing that this guy'd still be the Eagles OC today.
I just wish he was. That's all.
Oh, that's fair. I wish that Belichick would stop cheating, but he just won't. Okay.
Okay.